Nation, we are live. Happy Friday. Friday is my CEO day. Just gonna close the door so we're not too loud for Nina, who's busy working. Friday's my CEO day. Spend a day working on big projects to move my business forward. I realize I actually haven't posted anything to Instagram really today because it's been work. It's been work. It's been amazing. We've been in it. We've been doing it. I got a special guest I'm gonna bring in here. You're gonna love this guy. Here we go. Chat. We're going to bring him in. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Patchy. Welcome, Xander Man. And here he is.
Hey, Evan.
Mr. Eric Partaker. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. End of the week. You know, it's 7 p.m. here in London, so ready to rock and roll into the weekend. How about you?
I love it. It's 2 p.m. here, so I still got a lot more to do. Still got a lot of. I think this is actually a big point of discussion for a lot of, if you want to be a high achieving entrepreneur, it's like 2 o'clock on a Friday, it's winter, COVID, it's like, just do whatever, right? I mean, that's what a lot of people, they kind of just start to check out about now, where it's like, no, I'm on a mission. I got stuff to do. We've got lives to change. Like, this is important, right?
Right.
I think that makes a big difference for a lot of entrepreneurs.
Oh, totally. But, and you can't deny the feeling, right? It's like everyone gets that feeling. They don't want to do stuff. But one of my I love this way of thinking. So it's, and this is credit to Stephen Pressfield, who made me think in this way. But the definition of a professional versus an amateur, right? So an amateur needs to feel like doing something, right, in order to do it. Whereas a professional takes action whether they feel like it or not. Or said in another way, like, an amateur needs feeling to precede action, whereas a professional flips the script and they're like, no, it's action that generates feeling. And there's so many, I mean, the amount of times, like I wake up in the day and it's like, I look at my schedule and it's 100%, oh my God, I want to do absolutely everything on my list. That, honestly, that doesn't, but what separates those who succeed from the rest is that they show up as a pro. And on those moments when they don't feel like doing it, they're like, whatever. Let me just start for 5 minutes. Action will generate the feeling, and they get at it anyway.
I love it. I think of it every day as a battle between growth you and comfort you.
Yes,
comfort
exactly.
You. It's not like, Eric, me, Tony Robbins, Brendan Burchard, you don't wake up, it's like, yeah, I'm ready for the day, right? It's like, you want to go to bed and you want to stay under the blankets and you want to take Friday afternoons off and then that's comfort you talking. But growth you wants to go change the world and requires you to get up and do something. Anyway, so I didn't even introduce Eric. We just started jamming and we just had fun. Eric, super successful entrepreneur out of the UK that I met at Brendan Burchard's event in Puerto Rico. He's the author of the new book, The 3 Alarms I Got It Here. I got the special. I got the special signed copy, guys, with the super nice description. But you can get your copy. Where's the best place to go? People want the 3 alarms. Where are they going?
Well, as a thank you for people who are tuned in right now, just head over to my Instagram. There's a link in my bio, and I'll actually hook you up with a free digital copy. So follow the link to my bio, and you get a free digital copy of the book. It's hit bestseller status on Amazon. So you can, if you want, get it from Amazon. I won't complain. In my bio.
How long is that going to last? Because this is on YouTube too. So YouTube, we'll link that up in the description below. But how long is that going to last, Eric?
We'll keep it up long enough so that it applies for a month after YouTube.
Okay. All right. Cool. So what I love about the book, you're talking about being the healthiest you, the wealthiest you, and then the most loving you, which is a cool take as well. Because people usually it's like health, wealth, and happiness, but I like how you put it to the most loving you. Just talk us through, what are the 3 alarms and why did you write the book? Why is it so important?
Yeah, it's really a book about flipping the script, like realizing that you kind of have to think counterintuitively about a lot of things and or bring a lot of intentionality into things. So Real quick. So I'm going to tell us this story. We're going to go back 10 years. I'm boarding a plane, return flight to London. I've been working my ass off for a decade prior to that. And I thought I was invincible. You know, I was like, I could just do whatever I want. And cabin doors closing the plane, plane's ascending. I start to feel something's up. Something's not right. I got a lot of pressure building in my chest. Seeing the pressure becomes pain. Boom, it's shooting down my left shoulder into my left arm. I got my buddy sat next to me, and I'm like, Lewis, dude, check out my arm because this is not right. Lewis feels my left arm. Actually, I was just on the phone with Lewis just before this. This is crazy. And Lewis is like, man, your arm feels like it's been hanging in a meat locker. And that's what I felt too, is like completely ice cold. Lewis runs to the stewardess to get some help. She rushes over, takes my vital sign. Asks if there's a doctor on board. Doctor rushes over, takes my vital signs, and then I hear, we need to land the plane immediately. I think he's having a heart attack. And when you hear that 35,000 feet up in the air, that's like
my heart's
the last.
Right now. Like I feel my heart in my chest right now. It feels uncomfortable.
I get like agitated again, even just talking about it, you know? And so that was a turning. So obviously I survived. This would be like the most amazing trick in the book if I hadn't. But so plane lands, emergency lands, emergency response team boards a plane, takes me off, into an ambulance waiting on the runway. They administer some nitrates, open up the arteries, increase blood flow to the heart. And as the ambulance speeds off to the local hospital, I looked up into the eyes of the French paramedic looking down at me. We were flying over France at the time. And I said, please don't let me die. I have a 5-year-old son who's 15 now. And the next day, that was the turning point for me, because the next day I woke up in the hospital and I thought, what the hell am I doing with my life? I had been working 100-hour weeks as a consultant, helped build up Skype before we sold it to eBay. And it was just like work, building some of my own companies. And it just struck me that there's something interesting about that, I thought. So work got me into that situation, or my approach to work. So obviously work is important to me, even though my approach to it was wrong. My health was ready to fail. So obviously health is important. Yet the first words out of my mouth in the ambulance, it wasn't like, please don't let me die. I got to clear out my inbox. Right? It was, please don't let me die. I have a 5-year-old son. So relationships. So I wanted to continue performing at my best, but I realized that I had to do it across that 3-legged stool, health, wealth, and relationships. And then that eventually led to this idea of the 3 alarms. Really simple. I have 3 alarms that go off in my phone for like years now. And the idea is that we want to show up at our best on a health front, on the wealth front. And when I say wealth, I mean both making the money and investing it. Wealth front and relationship front. That's our path to deepest fulfillment. Show up at your best, the superhero version of you across all those 3 domains. And I segmented my day into 3 parts. Here's generally the health segment, wealth segment, relationship segment. I picked the best self, like superhero version of me in each of those segments. And then I just put it as an alarm on my phone. So at 6:30 a.m. on my phone, alarm goes off and it says World Fitness Champion. Because that's the version of me that goes to the gym in the morning. It's like I go into the phone booth, I change into World Full Fitness Champion, boom. I go to the gym. 9 a.m. next one goes off. It says World's Best Coach. I mean, that's what I do these days. I coach entrepreneurs, leaders, and it just reminds me, well, how does that version of me show up? And then the game changer one for me at 6:30 p.m. it goes off, and it says World's Best Husband and Father, just to prompt the question, how would the world's best husband and father walk through that door right now? So the 3 alarms is really about helping you bring intentionality and giving you some tools so that you show up at your best on the health front, wealth front, and home front.
If you guys don't know Eric yet, you're going to love him, because he's got this weird analytical mind that can just like make systems and structure out of concepts. So like everybody talks about how important health and wealth and all of this stuff is, but Eric can actually turn it into practical, actionable takeaways, which is why I love talking to him. And You guys are gonna love the 3 alarms. So what does that mean? So like when you go and then let's say your 6:30 alarm goes off, I'm gonna be the world's greatest husband and father. What is that? Is it just that alarm alone prompts you to think? Do you have something scheduled that you would do? Is it like what happens? 6:30 goes off. You're in the middle of something. Okay, now it's time to be the world's greatest father, husband. What do you do next after you set that intention?
Well, so first of all, it's just about having something to aim for, right? It's like if I put a blindfold on you and I said, okay, here's a dart, Evan, good luck, try to hit a bullseye. Like you wouldn't even know where the dartboard was, right? So it's like the chances of you even getting close, you're not even getting close to the dartboard. I don't even tell you like what wall it's on, But even if you're like horrible at darts, you're going to get way closer just because you had a target, without the blindfold on. So first and foremost, it's that intentionality, because think about it, like how many people actually, when they're about to cross through the threshold of their home, do it with, and I'm going to show up now at my best for my spouse and my kids or my partner or whatever. I wasn't doing that. Right? Before that, I would get home, to be brutally honest, what would happen? So kids would want to play and, let me finish this work, maybe later. My wife might want to, talk or, ask me for some help on something. Can it wait to, the weekend or something? I'm a little bit tired right now. But is that how the world's best father responds? Is that how the world's best husband responds? So, that the intentionality it changes the way you show up because you have something to measure against. It doesn't make you perfect. So it's like, you're trying to get the kids to bed, or you get in that, we all get in arguments, right, with our significant others. And that stuff still happens. But then it not only provides intentionality, but then it provides like counsel, like wise counsel in the moment. Because there's been so many times where like the argument starts and old me is like ready to say something back or something to, aggravate it. And then I'm like, whoa, world's best husband. How does he respond right now? It doesn't matter. Everything that's just been said before, at any moment in time, there are always and only 2 choices. There's the best response that you could give, and there's everything else. And so, so you get that wise counsel in the moment. And then number 3, I love thinking in threes, as you can see. Number 3, so you got the intentionality before the moment, right? You got the wise counsel in the moment. And then, sometimes you just crush it and you're like, yeah, I really showed up at my best in the gym today. Boom. You're like, yeah, that was awesome. I was world fitness champion, or I was, the world's best husband, whatever. But then there's other times when you just totally screw up. You didn't catch yourself in the moment. And it's still powerful because you're like, man, I was totally not the world's best father just then. I was totally not the world's best husband. I totally not the world's best coach. I was totally not a world fitness champ. I wasn't anywhere close. It's so beneficial in all the scenarios because you can at least, you have a gap. You have data, right? You have, this is where I'm trying to get to, and this is where I landed. And that's a game changer, really. It is.
You're getting a lot of love in the chat. Really good. Definitely getting the book. Feels super. Great intent. There's a question here that I think is interesting. Eat, Lift, Life is asking, I need this book. So does my husband. Always on the phone, working all night. So, I mean, the book is out. Again, 3 alarms. You can go check it out. Have you seen couples going through it? And I mean, I'm sure you have, and the last section is all on relationships. Would you recommend going through the book together? Would you recommend like you each read it separately on your own and then discuss? Like how do you use it as a relationship book if somebody wants to do this with their spouse?
I would totally read it together. I don't think it needs to be read separately. The book presents you some hard-hitting truths, right? So when you're reading it, and if you think your spouse, needs it, it's going to be hard for them to deny kind of the words that they read, because it will definitely, it will definitely, you know, hit home. I would read it together though. You know, my wife has obviously read it. So,
Oh,
yeah. But yeah, no, I would read it together. But here's the thing though, with all this kind of stuff, it's way more powerful if you read it and you be the light. You know, if there's like darkness in your relationship, then just focus on being the light because eventually, you know, light wins at the end of the day. We all know that, Star Wars, right? But but just I would just focus on, you know, being the exemplar of the principles. And then at some point that will probably prompt the other person to go, hey, what the hell is going on here? And you just keep saying, I told you, it's that book that I read. You know, you should take a read of it.
is there an accountability piece to it too? Like, I'm sure if you, I mean, your wife knows that at 6:30 you're trying to be the world's best husband, and then if something happens and you're not, you know, and you're
Oh
short,
yeah.
like, hey, world's best husband, where are you, Eric? Come on now. Like, does that help? Like,
Oh,
the other remind, because you got the alarm on your phone, but your wife then becomes the backup alarm in case you kind of forgot the first alarm.
you got it. And you know what? That's good. And if you're brave, if you're courageous, you put your ass out on the line there, right? And you say, look, I'm going to try to be the world's best. And people will call you out on it because they're like, well, you said you're all about this, but you did that. You want that. That's good.
Yeah.
There's so you have the alarms, you have other people who can call you out, but then there's another thing that I do every morning as part of this. And I call them champion proofs. So the way I think about it is that if each of these identities, if that's like the champion version of you showing up, right, in each of those arenas, then what can you do on a daily basis to evidence that you're showing up as your champion self in each of those areas? And so at the start of the day, independent of the alarms going off, I just say to myself, okay, if I'm a world fitness champion in the context of today, what am I doing? It might be a cardio day, and I say I'm going to hit 700 calories or something on the stationary bike. If it's world's best coach, what am I doing today? And I might say, I'm going to crank out a bunch of YouTube videos. You'll like that one, right?
Started this channel. It's going. Check it out. Eric Partake on YouTube.
um, and um, and then I might say my number one, my champion proof on the home front is I'm gonna write an "I love you" note to my wife, or I'm gonna play video games. That's like such an easy one for me to do. So I'm gonna play video games with my boys. So you're creating some accountability for yourself too by deciding what am I going to do in the context of today, such that by doing it, I evidence that I'm stepping into me at my best in each of these three areas.
And is that something you're doing every morning, or that's like a weekly thing that you look at and you try to
every morning?
Every morning. So every morning every morning before you go and be the world's best athlete, you're also thinking, okay, tonight when I get home, this is how I'm going to be the world's best father and husband?
Yeah, I'm just picking one action, just one thing, which if I did. So like if I do at least those three things in the day, no matter what happens with the rest of the day, I'm like, today was a win because I did those three number ones in each area. And it can change, right? That's the beauty of it. So world's, best husband and father, it may mean one thing one day, but something else completely on another day. And then the other thing too is, like, just to be clear, those are the phrases I picked in each of those areas. You pick your own thing. You might say that when it comes time for work, like you turn into Elon Musk, I don't know, and then sometimes in the evening I've thought of myself as Mr. Rogers. Because I thought that guy is like the ultimate family guy, so
how do you handle the bleed of one into the other? Because I think are you just like time stamping it and say from this time to this time? Because often I think entrepreneurs all go through this. There's the competing lives where the world's best coach conflicts with being the world's best husband, because you're in the middle of a coaching session, but your wife really needs you to do something, but it's not 6:30, it's 4 o'clock. And how does like one Eric fight the other Eric to make the right choice?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I mean, the last thing that this should introduce in your life is rigidity. You got to stay flexible, and they are like signposts for the segments of the day which are primarily driven by, whatever that domain is. So in the morning, before the day starts, it's primarily a health focus for me, so it makes sense to be driven by that identity. During the day, it's primarily a work focus. During the evening, it's primarily a family focus. During the weekends, that work alarm doesn't even go off, right, on Saturday, Sunday. But you always know what the right decision is. So, if your husband or your wife comes in and it's like urgent, or they're calling you and it's clearly urgent, well, there's a choice. What is the best thing, the best version of you, the overarching best version of you? What's the choice? Is it that you take the call? Is it that you leave work? You'll always know deep down. You'll know what the 95-year-old version of you, the most wise version of you, the best version of you. What choice would they make? What is the right choice? You'll know. And if you just ask yourself that question, you'll get the right answer. And even though world fitness champion, for example, is the identity, in the morning for the gym. Yeah, I mean, later in the day, if I got the choice between the donut or the apple, that identity is still in mind. And, it's like, okay, well, which one would the world fitness champion choose? And this isn't like, this is not, I always think of 80% as a good hit rate. If I can be making choices that 80% of the time are consistent with the best of me, that's a life well lived. If I make choices, as long as I'm not hurting, somebody, but it's like if I have pizza or something, that's okay. Right? As long as I'm going for that 80% hit rate. I've actually started a new thing too, by the way, which is quite cool. So I have a calendar up on my wall, and it's like this overarching thing. So at the start of the day, I just have this intention. I'm just going to try to do my best today. That's my intention. And then it's the, best self daily game, I call it. And I get to the end of the day, and if I did my best in the context of that day, I give myself a W. If I didn't do my best in the context of that day, I give myself an L. So a W for win or an L for learn.
And you're just writing on the calendar.
Yeah, I just write a W or an L. Okay. And then the game is simple. It's like 80%, right? So that translates to no more than 6 L's in a month, usually. And then the other rule is never 2 L's in a row. So if I have an off day, totally fine. That just makes the next day a rebound day. And that's a nice way to gamify it too.
I mean, you're kind of demonstrating it right now, that flexibility, in that, your best father, best husband alarm goes off at 6:30, but we're doing this at 7 o'clock your time.
There you go.
Because this is on my calendar, right? It's like, Eric, I go live at 2. Let's do this. I'd love to talk about the 3 alarms, but my show's at 2. So now you got to decide, okay, well, do I go do Evan's show for
100%. And I went down. So what did I do in that situation? So I went down. I was downstairs with my wife, and it was like 6:15. I said, G. Her name is Giselle. I call her G. So I said, G, I got this thing with Evan. It's at 7 o'clock. So I got to pop back up for that. And she's like, okay, yeah, that's right. She's like, well, that's cool. That's great. But the world's best husband, what did I do? I communicated, right? So here's what's going on, and she actually knew from it about it earlier in the week, but I just reminded her and everything, rather than, just stay locked up in the office and she doesn't even hear from me until later, right?
Yeah, and if it was every day that Eric's coming home and then doing night interviews and everything else, then that becomes a problem. Listen, you are what you consistently do, like the 80% rule. I love it. Maybe that answers. So Zareen here in the live has a question. Maybe that answers it. But she's saying, don't you at any point feel exhausted trying to be the world's best in everything? Obviously, none of us are perfect. How do you balance getting stressed on days when you don't?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is definitely not about perfection. It's just about like making progress. It relates back to so Abraham Maslow, you know, with his hierarchy of needs, he said that in his research that the path to deepest fulfillment is in realizing your full potential, right? And showing up at your best. So I really believe that. I really believe that if I show up at my best, not in a stressed way, but just doing my best. You know, doing your best doesn't need to be, oh my gosh, you must be exhausted because you've done your best. I mean, these ideas are not necessarily linked together. You know, I don't get exhausted by not, saying mean things or, you know, being a jerk to people or, you know, it's like they don't necessarily relate. So I think, you know, the person asked, I think you can definitely separate those things. You can be your best and still be peaceful. You can be your best and still be calm. You can be your best and still not be stressed. Yeah, so they're not necessarily linked together.
Yeah, I still love the aim for 80%. Like, don't have perfection
Yeah.
standard. I love it. Time flies when you're having fun. We got to let Eric get back to being the best husband and best father tonight. Guys, the book is called The Free Alarms. Go check him out on Instagram, Eric Partaker. Check out his YouTube channel, too. There's a lot of fire content there. And for my YouTube audience, we're going to link it up down in the description below to go check out the book. For 1 month, you can get the free ebook version as well, or show Eric some love.
Yeah.
Pick it up on Amazon as well. Eric, appreciate you, man. Thanks for spending some time with us tonight, sharing your wisdom. And I'm so pumped that the book is out and it's so successful.
Evan, totally awesome. Thanks so much, man. And thanks everyone who is listening for the questions. Love you all. Thank you.
Much love.
All right. See ya.